Who held the actual battering ram to knock down Breonna Taylor's door 4 years ago on the stand today in the federal retrial of former Detective Brett Hankison. Again, it's our top story at 6. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt. Isaiah Kim Martinez and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton are live now at 6th and Broadway. And Isaiah, this case is certainly moving fast. The most anticipated testimony coming next week from Hankison himself. Will we hear an apology from him again?
Well, Doug, we know Brett Hankison has testified and has gotten emotional. He's cried in both of his previous trials, and both have ended in his favor. Now, whether we will hear another apology directly from him to Breonna Taylor's family, that's hard to say, but I can tell you her family tells me tonight that they're still waiting and hoping for accountability. 1 week of testimony down, and former LMPD detective Brett Hankison is already on deck to testify in his own defense, like he's done twice before. In Jefferson Circuit Court in 2022, Hankison apologizing to Breonna Taylor's mother, saying, quote, "I felt sincere empathy for them. If my daughter was shot at, if bullets came into our house, that would be very concerning, and I apologize to her for that." Still, Bianca Austin, Taylor's aunt, hopes for a conviction.
He was reckless in his actions, and that he made himself accountable on the stand. So I hope that the jury listens to the facts.
So far, this trial is moving faster than last November's. Federal prosecutors bringing their final witness to the stand, LMPD Sergeant Brandon Hogan, who responded to the scene as a member of SWAT after Taylor was shot and killed. Listen to some of his body cam video from that night.
"If you're not on SWAT, lift your fire. We're going up."
Hogan testified that he did not see how an officer could have shot into that apartment building given the circumstances. Hankison's attorneys then getting to make their case to a jury, calling LMPD Detective Mike Nobles to the stand. He's the officer who used the battering ram to knock Taylor's door open. This is Nobles testifying in Hankison's wanton endangerment trial in 2022. He describes the moments fellow officer, Sergeant John Mattingly, was hit by gunfire.
Miles Cosgrove steps over top of him while he's still in this fatal funnel and starts shooting while John gets out of the way.
In this trial, Nobles saying he saw complete darkness, describing, quote, "the loudest gunfire I ever heard, and a lot of it." Nobles speaking to the danger facing officers that night, but also told prosecutors he would not have fired the shots Hankison did. And Doug, some key witnesses actually left out by the prosecution in this trial. That includes Kenneth Walker, who was Breonna Taylor's boyfriend at the time, who of course fired that first shot at officers, as well as former LMPD Chief Steve Conrad. Again, no testimony from either of those two people. There's no trial tomorrow, but Doug, it starts back up Monday, of course, with Brett Hankison set on that list to take the stand. Doug.
Isaiah, I went back and found a letter that was written to fire Brett Hankison. This letter written by Rob Schroeder, who was the interim chief at the time. The protests in Louisville had been underway 27 days. Rob Schroeder wrote these words back then on June 23rd, 2020. Extreme indifference to the value of human life. I've heard those words said before in the previous trials. It seems almost as if the chief at the time set up the case for the prosecution. Is that turning out to be the case this time around in the third trial?
Doug, we actually, both in opening statements as well as throughout the testimony, we've heard some of that same language used by prosecutors in this trial. You can tell they've seen that letter before. Of course, the chief at the time saying that Hankison fired blindly and wantonly. So we'll have to see how much it's used here as, again, Brett Hankison testifies in his own case next week. Doug.
Isaiah, thank you very much. Trial picks up again on Monday.